So about a year ago, I made a video comparing the Dr. Marten or Dog Marten Adrian Tassel Loafers to the GH Bass Weejun 90s Kilt Tassel Loafers. And we got the loafers falling over right there. Let me just put this back. Stage presence is important, people. I fell really hard for this particular style of footwear, this style of loafer, and a year later I'm still singing its praises. But today's video is all about doing a 1 year later review comparing the Adrian loafers to the Weejun loafers. I think my answer will surprise you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Drew What It Do, and without further ado, let's get into this loafer review. This review truly comes down to one thing and one thing only. We're gonna skip to one song and one song only, and that is comfort. The number one gripe that I have with the Doc Marten Adrian loafers is a gripe that I don't experience at all with the GH Bass Weejun loafers. Comfort. As obvious and as boring as it is, it's so important when it comes to the wearability of a particular model of footwear. Now, for reference, I wear a US 11 in the majority of the shoes that I own. For the Docs, I went with a UK 10.5, which is about a US 11. For the Weejuns, I went with a US 11, my true size. And the problem that I have with the Adrian loafers is that whenever I wear the Adrian loafers, they just don't have the same level of comfort, the same wearability as the GH Basses. After wearing the Adrian loafers for a prolonged period of time, give or take an hour or so, my toes towards the vamp of the loafer begin to start to hurt, as well as the heel of my foot begin to really start to hurt. And I've given these ample wears, probably 20 wears, and they still feel like this. And it just has me reaching for the GH Bass Weejuns more than the Adrians. I would say 9 out of 10 times I reach for the GH Bass Weejuns, maybe 9.7 out of 10 times I reach for the GH Bass Weejuns. That's how much more I am wearing the Weejuns over the Adrians. My theory about why I just can't find comfort in the Docs is the way that the Docs are created from a structural standpoint. They're very wide fitting shoes and I have a narrow foot. So if I put an insole inside of them, the pain is excruciating over the course of an hour's wear. If I leave an insole out, there's a bit of room in the shoe, a little bit too much room on the sides and towards the forefoot of the shoe. But what happens is that I experience that same pain in the vamp of the shoe over extended wear, which is really frustrating. It also has to do with the leather used on the Adrian loafers. The leather is a bit thicker than the GH Bass Weejun loafers, which some people might look at and say, well, then the Adrians are more qualitative. The leather is thicker, there's more material there. That means there's more attention to material composition for the Adrians versus the GH Bass Weejuns. But what you get when you use that thicker leather is that your foot has a harder time breaking in that leather and creating a kind of comfortable footbed and comfortable wearability for your foot style. That's what I've experienced in the last year. While the GH Bass Weejun loafers, they are a much more narrow loafer and they kind of are a more traditional looking loafer in terms of their shape compared to the Adrian loafers. And that narrowness has my foot in them like a glove, or I don't know if that's the right, that's probably a really weird way to say it, but my foot fits them like a glove. There we go. And I still put an insole in the GH Bass Weejun Tassel Loafers, 90s Kilt Tassel Loafers to be exact. I still put an insole because I feel like there's still a little bit of space, but like that insole just clears up any space that I have and makes it feel really good, and I don't get any pain, and it's incredibly great in terms of lockdown and comfort. That's the thing, like there's no laces, so you have to have pretty good lockdown, and the Weejuns have fantastic lockdown with that insole in there. And it's a Merrill insole. So one last thing I want to touch on, I think you kind of get the idea of where I'm leaning towards as it relates to which loafer I like the most in 2022. Stylistically, both of these loafers are kind of a lug soled or a modern loafer rendition. They have this kind of much chunkier outsole midsole that looks a little bit different than what you typically see with your classic and more timeless loafers. But that's why I gravitated towards them in the first place. They seem to be a bit more modern and they kind of play with my style a little bit better than some of the more traditional loafers. And I had mentioned this before, but the Docs are a very, very chunky shoe. They're extremely chunky. Compared to the GH Bass Weejuns, the Docs are wider, their sole is thicker, and they're just a much heavier loafer, and that plays into the just stylistic look of the Adrian loafers. To be honest, I think I prefer the Adrian loafers look over the GH Bass Weejuns. I've grown to love the GH Bass Weejuns look because they've been on my feet for 2 times as much as the Adrian loafers. But I think what Docs has done is created a really interesting looking model, but what they need to nail down is the comfortability and the wearability of the loafers. So for my final verdict, my final conclusion, I enjoy both GH Bass Weejun and Adrian loafers for different reasons, but what am I wearing the most in 2022, and what will I be wearing the most moving forward? Without a doubt, it's got to be the GH Bass Weejun 90s Kilt Tassel Loafers. I wore them almost exclusively in Amsterdam. I've worn them in several occasions here in Denver in the States, and I've just been wearing the heck out of them. I probably have 40 times more wears for the GH Bass Weejun Tassel Loafers than the Adrian loafers, and that's, I'll say this again, for sizing of the GH Bass Weejun 90s Kilt Tassel Loafers, I went true to size, and that fit great for me. I have a narrow foot. I don't have much arch. I have a flat foot, so my foot's kind of weird in that respect, right? If you have a bit of a wider foot, if you have a bit of a more kind of like fat toe or something like that, then the Adrian loafers might be better for you. Either way, this is my opinion a year later. I'll leave links to both the 90s Kilt Tassel Loafers by GH Bass Weejun and the Adrian Tassel Loafers by Doc Marten in the description. If you have any additional questions for me, leave those down in the comments. I wanted to make a short little recap review of this because I know a lot of people are curious about the loafers for the summertime. I love loafers for the summertime, so I think either one of these, depending on, obviously if you can get the right fit, will look great for the summertime. I'm doing a lot of babbling. How do I want to end this phrase? Yes. As always, I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity in 2022. So that means I'm spreading peace, love, and positivity to you. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Abianto. Peace. Yo, it's my post vitters. It's my PVV gang. It's the PVV squad. What's happening with y'all, man? Here's a fist bump for the one time. Here it is. Bop. We get down 2 times with the bop, bop, bop. Appreciate you guys so much for always sticking to the end of the videos. Y'all are really part of the 0.0001% that are riders for this channel, and I appreciate you dearly. Your boy is going to Montreal, right? I've never been to Canada, and we're going to Montreal this month, and I'm really excited. I feel really blessed, but I need the PVV. If you're from Canada, if you're from Montreal, give me suggestions on places to go to, restaurants, museums, stores. What should I do while I'm there? Also, I will be making videos while I'm there, so what kind of videos would you like to see while I'm in Montreal? If you know Montreal, give the store recommendations. If you don't know Montreal and you want to see something in Montreal, give the video suggestions. I'm counting on you, PVV. We'll see you next time. Peace.